Get ready for University of Georgia basketball. Conquering the worm, dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my take you there. Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my take you there. The following is a production of WSB Sports and the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. Get ready for University of Georgia basketball. Now, let's go courtside to Scott Howard.
Just 16 hours after being throttled by East Tennessee State in the opening round of the Rainbow Classic, the Georgia Bulldogs will try to even their Hawaiian tournament record tonight at the Stan Sheriff Center here in Honolulu. Round 2 of this event as the Dogs battle former SEC member Tulane here this afternoon. The Bulldogs had a dismal opener in an 18-point defeat to the Buccaneers, but hope to bounce back against the Green Wave today. They'll have to curtail the turnovers in order to turn the tide. Georgia has committed 50 turnovers in their last 2 ball games. So it's a quick turnaround for both Georgia and Tulane here at round 2 of the Rainbow Classic. Who wants it more? We'll find out as we count it down to tip-off here in Honolulu. The Bulldog pregame show is brought to you by Georgia Power, the official power source of the Georgia Bulldogs. We're back in a moment on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Welcome back to Honolulu, Hawaii for round number 2 of the Rainbow Classic. Georgia and Tulane tonight. Hi again, everyone, along with Jeff Dantzler and our producer-engineer Michael Williams and our network studio producer in Atlanta, Alan Hunt. This is Scott Howard from the Stan Sheriff Center here at the campus of the University of Hawaii as we await the final of St. John's in Hawaii, the first game of the day, first of 4, and in the consolation round. So one of these teams will play to stay out of the basement, I guess. Last place is St. John's right now leading Hawaii 66-60 with less than 30 seconds to go. But Jeff, Georgia's concern certainly is bouncing back from a not-so-terrific performance in the opener of this tournament for the Bulldogs.
Well, the big thing for both Georgia and Tulane, I don't think is as much about the matchups and is this play going to work or is that play going to work, is this defense going to work. It's about who is indeed able to bounce back, who's able to come back strong mentally here because both teams have not had a lot of time, especially Georgia. I mean, if you're going off of Eastern time, this will be Georgia's second game in one day. Tulane had a couple of extra hours to get rested up, but without a doubt, a very, very big game because Georgia was embarrassed last night. The Bulldogs did not play well at all, and once the lead got away, East Tennessee never gave it up. And you definitely, just as St. John's and Hawaii are playing here, you don't want to lose game 2 when you're in the loser's bracket because that means you go into Saturday trying to avoid becoming the only team to go 0-3. You're going to have a 3-0 team, the champion. You're going to have an 0-3. You're going to have 3 1-2s, and you're going to have 3 2-1s, and you do not want to be that 0-3.
Tulane lost to St. Mary's in their first-round game, 64-57 on, was it Thursday or Friday?
Whichever. It's Thursday Hawaiian time, Friday Eastern time.
And Georgia was beaten last night, in case you missed it, by East Tennessee State, 76-58, a game in which the Dogs committed 24 turnovers in the contest. Now, they committed 26 in their win over Wake Forest, but they also played some terrific defense, and Wake Forest barely shot 30% in that game. Last night, Georgia was on the other end of that when the Bulldogs didn't shoot 35%.
Well, that's the thing. Georgia shot the ball great against Wake Forest also, and last night Georgia had a stretch when East Tennessee took control of the game where the Bulldogs went 1 for 14 from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, East Tennessee State, which started the game shooting just 2 out of 14, hit 13 of its final 18 down the stretch, final 10.5 minutes of the first half, assumed complete control. You combine those shooting numbers with Georgia's poorest turnover total, and that's a losing number anytime.
Georgia and Tulane coming up as we await the finish of St. John's and Hawaii in the first game of the second round of this tournament. 67-62 right now as St. John's is leading the home Hawaii Warriors with just over 12 seconds to go. We'll take a timeout and come back for more of our pregame shows. We count it down to tip-off for Georgia and Tulane here in day number 2. Back in Honolulu right after this timeout on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Well, St. John's moves into the, what would you call that, the winner's consolation bracket?
Yes,
they have a consolation champion here.
They'll be the consolation championship game.
Yeah, they've got a chance to go 2-1. They just beat Hawaii, the home team, 68-62. So the Warriors dropped to 0-2 here in their own tournament, and will play in the last place game tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. St. John's awaits the winner of Tulane and Georgia, and we are coming up as the 25-minute clock is underway. The Dogs out of the locker room onto the court for their pregame warm-ups, and we'll be getting started here in about 24 and a half minutes.
And with Hawaii, a chance to go 0-3 here, certainly unusual. They've won this tournament 7 out of the last 10 years, including their win over Georgia 6 years ago. And Bulldog fans, the back-to-back-to-back Georgia gymnastics team proud to host the 2008 NCAA Women's Gymnastics National Championships, April 24 through 26. Get your tickets now at georgiadogs.com or call 877-542-1231 to secure your seat to watch Gym Dogs defend the titles against the nation's elite programs. Georgia trying to become the first team to win 4 consecutive NCAA championships. And right now, Scott, I think you brought up a good point when you said St. John's has got a chance to go 2-1. And I think as down as both Georgia and Tulane are, and certainly Georgia's, that loss was, 16 hours ago. It was a very, very short time ago for the Bulldogs, though. But if you come back and get a win here, then you go in, you're going to have a very tough challenge. St. John's an awfully talented basketball team. You win that one, then even though you're disappointed not to win the championship, you still come out of here at 2-1, and this is a pretty good field, so I think that would certainly be a positive accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely so, and that's what Georgia's goal is now, as they had to reset them after last night's disappointment with East Tennessee State, who will play later tonight. And the other side of the bracket, where did my bracket go?
St. Mary's is a very, very good team.
St. Mary's, East Tennessee State, yes.
St. Mary's is a team. They've been ranked this season. They've only got 1 loss. Very, very talented. They move. They're big. So that's going to be a tough draw for them. And then on the other side, really the surprise team, Louisiana Lafayette, which upset Hawaii, and you got to like Ohio in that one. So if the chips were down, I would bet that you'll see St. Mary's and Ohio play for the championship.
And against Tulane, this is Georgia's first matchup with Tulane in 41 years. The last time, January of 1966, when these guys were still in the SEC.
That's right. The final football season for Tulane in the SEC was 1965, and the final basketball season was 1966. So it's been a long time. These two teams used to play every year. In fact, if you go back to the early 1950s when Georgia played at old Woodruff Hall, the Bulldogs got a big win over Tulane, and the Green Wave filed a protest with the SEC office and Commissioner Bernie Moore, saying that Georgia's fans had gotten too rowdy at Woodruff Hall and that they needed to be calmed down. Back when I was working for the great Claude Felton in the Sports Information Office at UGA, I came across that newspaper article, and I said, man, we need to get some of that going back again. So some rowdy fans. So Georgia and Tulane, bad blood going back to the early 50s.
Look out.
Bad blood. Hopefully it doesn't spill over here today.
The unfortunate thing, I don't believe we have to worry about rowdy fans now, as most of the Stan Sheriff Center is clearing out after Hawaii has played. The band is gone. They don't even leave the band around for the rest of the tournament. So it might be kind of a quiet time here for game number 2, Georgia and Tulane. And we'll continue from our courtside seats at the Stan Sheriff Center here on the campus of the University of Hawaii. Day number 2 of the Rainbow Classic, Georgia and Tulane. Counting it down to tip-off. We'll take a look around the SEC, a quick visit right after this on the Bulldogs Radio Network. Welcome back to Honolulu. Counting it down to tip-off, Georgia and Tulane. First meeting in 41 years for the Bulldogs and the Green Wave, and the winner will move on to play St. John's in the Consolation Championship tomorrow. The loser will be matched up with Hawaii in the last place game. Let's take a look around the SEC, and it is a light evening of activity in the conference other than Georgia playing. You've got Ole Miss is in the tournament in Puerto Rico, and they are playing LaSalle, and they are already at halftime. And Ole Miss undefeated at 9-0 after beating DePaul in the first round of that tournament yesterday, leading LaSalle 42-29, and Andy Kennedy, Jeff's got him playing hot and heavy there in Oxford.
He really does. Ole Miss shared the SEC West Championship last season. Hotty-toddy, they are excited down in beautiful Oxford, Mississippi. And right now, I think when you cut to it, you'd have to say that Tennessee and Vanderbilt, who are both ranked, of course, at Ole Miss, have been the 3 top teams in the league so far this year.
And one of only 2 undefeateds in the SEC right now, Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, the only teams without a blemish on their record. The other Mississippi team is playing tonight as well, and that would be Mississippi State with a record of 6-5, and they are playing Texas A&M Corpus Christi in Corpus Christi, Texas, this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Trap game there for Mississippi State. Got to be ready for that one there. Mississippi State, they'll probably finish in the bottom half of the SEC West, but with what we've seen from Ole Miss so far this season, because you knew coming in, particularly with some of the personnel losses for some of the regular contenders in the West, that race is wide open right now, but I think you'd have to say that Ole Miss is the favorite, and it really, really hurt LSU. I thought they might be the surprise team because they had a down season last year. Really hurt them losing Tasman Mitchell for the season with that injury.
So Georgia, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, the only conference teams in action tonight. Georgia on the court here at the Stan Sheriff Center, as is Tulane, and we'll be getting this one underway in about 17 minutes. That's when we'll tip it off to see who plays St. John's in the consolation championship game of the Rainbow Classic. We'll continue with our countdown to tip-off right after we pause for these words on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Counting it down to tip-off for Georgia and Tulane, round 2 of the Rainbow Classic here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And the pregame show has been brought to you by Comcast. Get Comcast Triple Play today. By BB&T Bank, there's opportunity here. And by Dodge, live strong, live bold, live now. Dodge, grab life. When we come back, we'll talk with Georgia head coach Dennis Felton on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Time now for the Dennis Felton pregame show. It's brought to you by AirTran Airways. Scott Howard with the coach, Dennis Felton here in Honolulu. Round 2 of the Rainbow Classic here in Hawaii as Georgia and Tulane get set to hook up for the first time in a long time. And coach, a quick turnaround for your club after the game against East Tennessee State. What are your concerns going into today's ball game with Tulane?
Well, my first concerns are with us, that we get tougher, and play stronger, a more stronger physical brand of basketball. I felt like that was our main downfall last night was allowing ETSU to just be more aggressive, more tougher, and more physical than us.
How do you cut back on the turnovers? Because we've, I think, had 50 in the last 2 games, 1-1 in those ball games, but still a lot of turnovers.
Well, number one, we have to be tougher and stronger with our offensive execution and our possession of the ball. That's primarily the thing that we need to do to get better at that.
We talked a little bit about this last night after the ball game. Did you have to scale back on the scouting report for today's opponent, Tulane, just because of the amount of time that you had to work with?
Well, we didn't necessarily scale back in terms of being prepared to know what all that they can bring and giving our players the same what we call a short report that has all the information that we normally share, but we can't expect our players to know all of the things that they do offensively in terms of all their sets. And Tulane happens to be a team that runs a ton of different sets, which compounds the challenge. But we can't expect our players to be as well versed at them as we normally are when we have some time and some practice time to prepare. So we're going to have to be really good with our principles, our habits, and our alertness and our teamwork, doing what we do all the time to respond and react to the different things that Tulane will show us.
The situation where the guys just have to rely on their skills as basketball players and their knowledge from what they've learned here at Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to be alert. They have to be great communicators with each other to talk their way through possessions, through the diverse screens and cuts and that we'll see from a lot of different sets that Tulane throws at you.
Do you go with your same lineup today? Are you making any changes?
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck. We'll see you after the ball game.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
That's Georgia head coach Dennis Felton. We'll give you those starting lineups as we have them right now when we come back here on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
Bulldog basketball is on the air. You're listening to University of Georgia basketball on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. The Dogs are brought to you by Regions Bank. Banking is simple again. Dodge. Live strong. Live bold. Live now. Bud Light. Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. Citgo. There at every turn. Optium Financial. Mortgage lender to the Bulldog Nation. And by your neighborhood Ford dealers.
Georgia and Tulane meeting for the first time since the Green Wave's final season in the SEC back in 1965, 1966. The starting lineups, first for Tulane, which comes into the ballgame with a record of 6-4. Dave Dickerson, the head coach at the point. Little Kevin Sims, he is 5'10", has reached double figures 8 times this season. A sophomore out of Jackson, Mississippi, averaging 12 points and 5 assists per game. Daniel Puckett at the 2 had 16 points against Syracuse earlier this season. 6'7", the junior out of McEwen, Tennessee, averages 6.7 per game. Matt Wheaton on the wing. He is a very good shooter, 42% from beyond the arc. 6'5", senior out of Katy, Texas, averaging 7 points per game. Down low, David Gomez, 6'7", 240. Beefy senior, had 10 boards against St. Mary's. He's a native of Baton Rouge. And Robinson Louisme, 6'7", 260. Speaking of beef, the junior averaging 10 points per game, and he is hitting on 70% of his field goals.
That's a high percentage.
That is he must get a lot of dunks. He's out of Fort Myers, Florida. Louisme is a junior, and you can tell with Gomez at 6'7", 240, Louisme at 6'7", 260, a couple of beefy guys, and Georgia's going to counter that. The Bulldogs going with their beef down low. First career start for Jeremy Price from South Atlanta, Columbia High School. Very talented player. He really has a chance to be a star for the Bulldogs as his career continues to go along. Price, the only Bulldog in double figures yesterday with 10 points. He's averaging 4.9 rebounds, and he leads Georgia in shooting at 58.7%, so a great opportunity for Jeremy Price here today.
Yeah, Rashad Singleton struggled mightily last night, only played 3 minutes. Chris Barnes, pretty much the same thing for him. So Georgia's 3 post players that have played the best so far, David Bliss, Jeremy Price, and Albert Jackson, who had 9 rebounds last night and only his second game back after the 6-game suspension.
Yeah, we'll see Albert Jackson early as well. Of course, Dave Bliss getting the start down low, the big 6'10" senior out of Wausau, Wisconsin, a tremendous student. Dave having a fine year, shooting 56.8% from the floor, 76% from the free throw line, averaging 7 points per game. On the wings for the Bulldogs, it'll be Billy Humphrey and Terrence Woodbury again. Billy Humphrey, 6'3", out of Snellville. He's averaging 12.6 points per game. And Terrence Woodbury, 6'7", the junior out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, averaging 10 points per game. And at the point, Georgia's MVP and most outstanding player, Sundiata Gaines. The 2 games he struggled in this year, Georgia's lost to Wisconsin and then last night to East Tennessee. But Sundiata Gaines leading Georgia in points, steals, assists, and rebounds. I expect for him to come back strong today. Georgia's starting trio of wing players last night, Gaines, Woodbury, and Humphrey. These are bad numbers. Turn away. 7 of 29 from the floor, 4 of 19 on threes, 0 for 4 from the foul line, 7 assists, and 12 turnovers. That's a losing total anytime you take the floor.
Well, we've said it before, and that's the book on Georgia. If the guards don't play well, then the team's not going to play well. And hopefully they've got to find a formula where when that happens, they have an alternative, because that's going to happen from time to time during the season, and it can't be that simple to figure out. If the guards don't play well, other guys are going to have to step up and fill the gaps.
Well, you've got to get good guard play, and that's exactly right. But you expect these veterans to go out big every night. But at the same time, when we talked about this yesterday, you just cannot count on Sunday out of Gaines to go out there and have a big-time performance night in and night out. Now, hopefully, Georgia will get more of an inside presence as Jeremy Price's game continues to come along and as Albert Jackson's game continues to come along.
I like the way Albert's playing early on. The first 2 games he's been back, he's been very aggressive, certainly on the glass.
Now, he's got to finish. He's got to do a better job of finishing. He's getting a lot of looks around the bucket.
They've all
sure.
kind of had that issue, and I think maybe some of the older guys might be able to learn from Jeremy Price, because he is able to finish.
He is at 6'8", 285, and I think even with Jeremy Price, he's a good athlete. He moves well. I think he's going to get a little bit leaner. Future is very, very bright for him. He gets his first start here today. It's Georgia and Tulane. We've got the tip-off coming up after this timeout on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Can't go as far.
Getting ready for tip-off Georgia and Tulane as the starting lineups are being announced. And Georgia fans, you'll want to mark your calendars now for Georgia Lady Bulldogs action. They'll play Presbyterian Wednesday, January 2nd at 7 o'clock at Stegman Coliseum in Athens. Lady Dogs returning to action on Thursday, January 10th against Ole Miss, a little conference play. That's also a 7 o'clock contest. You can get your tickets now at georgiadogs.com or by calling 877-542-1231. Don't miss out on the excitement of Georgia Lady Bulldogs basketball.
Oh, Lady Dogs off to another great start, typical for Hall of Fame coach Andy Landers, 10-0, ranked number 7 in the land, and they'll be taking off to play in a tournament in Miami on December 29th and 30th. I'm telling you, my travel schedule is really difficult this December. I know a lot of folks are shedding tears. I'm going to go from Hawaii to Miami. It's tough. It's very, very tough, but a great start for the Lady Dogs, and hopefully the guys can bounce back and get a win here today. This is almost like a baseball situation, 3 games in 3 days, and technically on Eastern time. Well, 3 games in 2 days. But when you lose that first one in a 3-game series, you feel bad. But at the same time, if you come back, if you get that win in Game 2, then you know you got a chance to go into that finale. You get a win there, you're going to leave the island with a 2-1 record. And I think that would certainly be a good accomplishment, especially considering the way the Dogs played last night. And now you look at this, both Georgia and Tulane, I think if one of these teams can jump out and get a nice early lead, they'll be able to keep the other one at arm's length. It's a quick turnaround for both. The green wave in green, Dogs in white. And here's Scott to tell you all about it.
All right, here's the toss and the tip. Bliss taps it, but right to David Gomez for Tulane. So the green wave will control the tip. They're in their green tops and shorts, and Georgia, the home team, designated home team again, in white tops and white bottoms. Here's Wheaton going to dribble and drive, run the baseline, bumps into Price, lets it fly, and the floater goes, and Tulane on the board first with a 2-0 lead as Georgia quickly gets the ball into the front court. The Dogs working from left to right as we watch it, throw it into Price. Whoops, right through the legs. Let it go right through the wickets, and Tulane picks it off, and they take it up on the far side with Puckett. Puckett feeds the post. Gomez muscles it up and scores from short range against the Georgia double team. 4-0 Tulane just like that. Here's Woodbury attacking from the left side. His shot is deflected and taken away by Gomez for Tulane. And here come the green wave again, leading it 4-0 already.
Well, Tulane with 4 points in the paint. Georgia with a shot off the side of the backboard and a turnover.
It's 6-0 Tulane.
And Tulane following East Tennessee's lead, coming with full court pressure. They're in a 2-1-2. East Tennessee ran the old John Wooden 1-2-1-1, and the Bulldogs had fits with it all night long.
Gaines with the ball, dribbles to his left. Now on the left wing, dribbles with the left hand, picks it up, looks inside to Bliss, can't get it there. They keep it out. Now they go down to Bliss on the baseline, back out to Butler, left corner. To Gaines, reverse it to Humphrey on the right side of the floor. 10 on the shot clock for the Dogs. Bliss, right elbow, pivots. He's open for a minute, bounces it down low to Price, who catches it on the right baseline and scores.
Jeremy Price's best attribute, he's got great hands. That ball was up for grabs. Very, very strong and soft at the same time. He was able to pull it in. He's got that big, strong body. You can't bump him out of the way.
6'2 Bulldogs. Bliss forcing the just to the left of the basket is where they'll inbound it. 17:40 first half as Albert Jackson will check in for the senior Dave Bliss out of Wausau, Wisconsin. Here comes the sophomore Jackson now from Arlington, Kentucky, getting his first taste today. Dogs down by 4 with the ball. Humphrey flips it to Gaines. Right corner three. Good. Sunday out of Gaines. Maybe that'll get him going on the three-pointers. Now just 6 of 29 from three-point range. He'd been in a bit of a slump. That's his first attempt and his first make, and it makes it 6-5. Tulane by 1.
He's a great player. Expect him to bounce back with a big game today.
Get it to Gomez. Got past the defender and scored under the basket. He got in deep and a nifty pass from the left corner as Tulane makes it 8-5.
Yeah, Sims with the dish here. He was able to seal off Jeremy Price on the low shoulder.
3-point lead for the Greenway. Price will shoot it right side. Soft touch jumper on the right baseline. Good by the freshman from Decatur, Jeremy Price. It's an 8-7 Tulane lead. Greenway with the ball as they bring it up the floor. Holding, guarded by Butler. He backs up near the midcourt line.
Georgia didn't space it very well at all that time in the half-court set. Price got trapped in the corner.
Here's Daniel Puckett at 6'7", a crossover, tries to go by Humphrey, spins, loses the handle, picked up by Gomez, left baseline. He drives, he's good, and he laid it up and in. Gomez, a good, tough player.
Well, he got a head fake and got Albert Jackson up in the air. Left him exposed for an easy 2. Greenway's back in front.
10-9 the score. Tulane, Jackson working inside, has it stripped, but fortunately there's Gaines to pick it up on the right wing for Georgia to keep the possession. Nearing the 15-minute mark in half number 1. It's a 1-point lead for Tulane. Gaines dribbles in, then out. Feeds it into Jackson. Jump stop in the lane. Left-handed jump hook off the rim won't go, but Price with a vicious follow and a two-handed jam for the freshman to give Georgia the lead, 11-10.
8 points and 3 rebounds for Jeremy Price, getting his first career start. And don't be surprised if he never comes out of that starting lineup again in his Georgia career.
He's making the most of it early on here today in the second round of the Rainbow Classic, Georgia and Tulane. The Dogs leading it by 1. Sims with the ball straight away to Louisme between the circles. He's guarded by Price out there. Give it to Puckett on the right side of the floor. Butler's on him. The Dogs are in a man-to-man. They go to Louisme. We go for the steal. Louisme catches, turns, shoots. The kiss off the glass is good.
Billy Humphrey hit his first 2 shots yesterday, went 0 for his last 6. He's 0 for 3 here today, so Humphrey's missed on 9 in a row.
14-11. Dogs went for a defensive steal on that last possession. Louisme made him pay for it. They lead by 3. Dogs with the ball. Feed it into Price. Jump hook right hand. Sweet good from right of the lane. Give the assist to Sundiata. Jeremy Price red hot. Double figures now for 3 in a row.
Keep it simple. Just keep going to him, and he's operating a lot better on the right side. Able to take that drop step. We've seen him hit a jumper from 14 feet. We've seen him have a putback dunk, and right there with that nice little half hook he's been working on with Pete Herman. Bounds as well, so just keep going in to the big fella.
Dogs make some substitutions. Swansea and Humphrey, Bliss, Woodbury, and Jackson on the floor now. So Jeremy Price, their 10-point man, out of the game. Sims jumper left of the circle, off the front rim, rebounded by Bliss, outlet to Swansea, up the near sideline to Woodbury. Cross-court pass left side to Humphrey. He holds inside the 3, shoots a long 2, and it's good from 17 feet. First points of the game for Billy.
And that breaks an 0 for 9 stretch dating back to game number 1 here in Hawaii. And puts Georgia back out in front.
To Wheaton, tries to go up under the basket, got too far under. And Bliss, the principle of verticality, able to bring down the rebound, as when he shot it, Bliss just kind of took it away. Here's Brewer, right corner 3, all net for Troy Brewer, the freshman from Rockville, Maryland, to give Georgia its biggest lead of the half at 2. It's 18-16.
And Troy Brewer over his last 4 games shooting 53% from beyond the arc. And does he ever have a sweet stroke with a quick release?
Gomez, top of the key, right-hand dribble, now drive down the right lane. Runner with the kiss over Bliss, good. Gomez, very nice-looking player, 8 points for him. For Tulane, and we're tied at 18.
Yeah, he's got some bulk, but he's also very flexible, 6'7", 240, and he's a beast on the blocks. All of Tulane's field goals coming in the paint.
Dogs with the ball. Humphrey dropped it on the left side, but turned around and picked it up. Gets it to Swansea, head of the key. Swansea, nice pass on the outside to Price. Back to Zach, and a Zach attack for 3, head of the key. He turned 19 yesterday. He hits a 3, his first points of the game, 21-18 Georgia.
Inside out, Jeremy Price drawing the crowd, double team, got it right back to the man who passed it to him. Zach Swansea wide open for a 3.
Swansea now 4 for 10 on 3s for the year. Gives it to Richard, back to Stith now. He's going to try to attack the basket, spin in the paint, lose the dribble, and Bliss just stuffed him on his one-handed attempt. His second block shot. Dogs take it away. Bliss with a nice block, and the Dogs dividends on the other end. Swansea to Price for the left-handed jam with one hand.
Now the big fella's second slam dunk. Tulane has to spend it. Second timeout. And Jeremy Price has energized the Bulldogs, and Troy Brewer and Zach Swansea coming up with the three-pointers. Well, how about the freshmen for Georgia? Jeremy Price, Zach Swansea, and Troy Brewer have combined for 18 of Georgia's 23 here today.
Dave Bliss, the senior, got that play started with the block on the left end of the floor, and Georgia ran it out in transition. Swansea with almost a half-court pass to Price to feed the big man for the stuff, and Georgia has its biggest lead of the game now at 5 as Tulane called for the 30-second timeout. It's 23-18 Bulldogs.
You got the lead.
Yeah, 20. They like this the rest of the game, right?
That's right.
23-18 Georgia. Tulane with the ball. Gomez with a head fake. Steps beyond the three. Left of the circle and drains it over Price.
Like I said, nothing from the perimeter until that one.
Yeah.
David Gomez into double digits. He's got 11. Jeremy Price has got 12. Those two combined have 23 of the 44 total points in the contest.
Gomez averaging just under 12 points a game, so he's right at it already here in the first half with 5:16 to go. Dogs by 2 with the ball. Brewer off a curl with the three. Good! Top of the circle.
The man from Rockville, Maryland. It's my favorite REM song, Don't Go Back to Rockville. And Troy Brewer from Rockville. Bang!
Well,
2 in a row. What a great stroke he's got.
We don't want him to go back. Yeah, he's shooting like that.
Because Big Lewisme gave him quite a shove in the back. That was not incognito at all. It's just a blatant shove in the back.
Get out of my way. 26-21 Georgia by 5. 4:42 and the clock ticking. Dogs with the ball. Gaines dribbles it into the front side and feeds Bliss now, who pivots. Looks down low for Price cutting through. Gets it to Price.
Yes,
and
sir.
Price does what he does best. He turns and scores from short range.
Well, Georgia spread things out there, got caught in a mismatch, and little Kevin Sims at 5'10" was matched up with him. They had to bring Gomez over for help, but it was too late. 14 points for the big fella in his first start.
Yes, as the Green Wave with the ball. Georgia went for Chris Barnes checking in for the first time, too. He really needs to give Georgia some good minutes as Bliss goes out of the ball game. Chris has been struggling since that first contest. And the Dogs in a 2-3 zone. Right side of the floor for Tulane. Here's Wheaton. Give it to Sims. 3 left of the circle. He pops it just above the three-point arc to make it 29-24. Georgia by 5 with the ball. Right side to Wheaton. He looks inside, keeps it out on the perimeter to Puckett. Puckett with a crossover, goes through the circle, spins on the edge of the lane. Nice one-handed move by Daniel Puckett. Put it up with the right hand, about a little 3-foot floater, and he scored to make it a 3-point lead now for Georgia. It's 29-26. Dogs with the ball.
First half strong. You just don't want him to pick up that second foul. He was open on the post early, got it into him on the second look, and that wasn't the better look.
Sims wide open 3 straight away, good, of about 23 feet, and we're tied at 29. Georgia's 8-point lead is gone as Tulane goes on an 8-0 run to tie it at 29, and Sims with a couple of threes during that run. 46 seconds to go as Swansea drives around a screen from Price. Go to Humphrey high on the right side, 14 to shoot for Billy. Junior from Decula gets a screen from Bliss. Looks left, goes to Bliss down low. Bliss steps into the paint, scoops it up with a left hand. It rolls over the front iron. Good.
Good power move by Dave Bliss, and they nearly threw away the inbounds pass.
Nearly caught me in the side of the head. Here's Wheaton. Penetration, kick behind a stiff. He drives for a one-handed jam, but gets fouled on the way. Ends up in a crumpled heap beyond the baseline, but they get the Dogs for the foul. Lead. Bliss into Gaines. Gaines with 4, Gaines with 3. Sprints into the front court. Contact from Stiff. Forces up a 3 and falls to the floor, and no whistle as Gaines throws up about a 37-foot air ball from the left sideline, and that's the end of the first half, and Georgia will go into the locker room leading by 1, 31-30 over Tulane.
Well, Georgia had time to get off a shot there. The problem was Sundiata Gaines took the inbounds pass right on the low block. So Georgia, instead of making the entry up to midcourt where you got plenty of time, and you'd love to get Troy Brewer a look from 3, essentially Sundiata did draw the contact, no whistle. He just had to heave up a wild one, and no dice for the Dogs. But after getting beat by 18, does feel nice to have that lead heading into intermission.
Indeed, 31-30, Georgia leading Tulane. Second round of the Rainbow Classic here in Honolulu. We'll be back right after this timeout on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
A very important 20 minutes coming up for the Georgia Bulldogs. If the Dogs can defeat Tulane, Georgia would head into tomorrow's tilt with St. John's with an opportunity to go 2-1 here in Hawaii with a loss. That would be 2 in a row, and one that the Bulldogs would certainly feel like got away as Georgia had taken control, led the ball game 29-21. Tulane came back with 8 straight to tie it, but I do like the way Georgia responded, went inside with Dave Bliss, got the lead back, and the Dogs will start the second half with Woodbury, Humphrey, Gaines, Bliss, and the star of the game thus far in his first collegiate start, Jeremy Price.
Now here we go with the second half. Georgia by 1 with the ball to start half number 2. And they'll work from right to left as we view it here in the Stan Sheriff Center. Tulane opening up in a 2-3 zone to start the second half. Humphrey beyond the 3 in the corner, looks inside to Bliss with his back to the basket. He'll curl around, get it to Humphrey up the wing. They reverse the ball to Woodbury now on the left side. 13 to shoot. Sundiata will fire and connect for 3 from just left of the top of the key. Sundiata with his second three-pointer of the ball game gives Georgia a 4-point lead, 34-30.
And Price and Dave Bliss drawing such a crowd. Wide open look there for Sundiata Gaines, and big to get those first points of the second half.
Here's Sims spinning away from Gaines and driving in for a short two-pointers. He pulls up for about a 12-foot shot left of the basket, 34-32 Bulldogs. Rattles out, no good. A beautiful save in the corner by Gaines as he threw it behind his head, just chunked it up with 2 hands. Going out of bounds, he threw it in play, and it was saved by Bliss. Here's Woodbury, a runner on the left baseline, pull up from 10, and he knocks it down. Terrence Woodbury with the basket, and Wood has his first points of the game. 18:44 to go in half number 2, and the Dogs lead at 36-32.
That doesn't happen without the dynamic save from Sundiata Gaines.
Tulane to inbound, left of the basket. Sims throws it into Gomez. We deflected it and steal it. Here's Gaines with a long diagonal pass up the floor to Humphrey. Attacks from the left side, jumps into the paint, feeds Price for a two-handed slam. Jeremy Price now with 17 points in the ball game after a nasty dunk and a nice feed from Humphrey.
Well, it was a great pass from Billy Humphrey, and it was Price who got the deflection, Sundiata Gaines who got the steal. Dogs do a great job in transition. The big fella, Jeremy Price, the trailer.
Up, hooks it to Gaines.
He's killing his dribble in bad spots.
Here's Humphrey inside to Jackson. He puts it on the floor. Probably should have gone up with it right then. Woodbury got it to him in a perfect spot, and Jackson has it stripped out of bounds by Tulane. It'll be Georgia ball, but just 7 seconds on the shot clock. Jackson should have gone up with that one.
Yep, he's thinking and not reacting.
Throw it to Humphrey, right corner, 3. Good, wide open Billy Humphrey. Gaines from the left side of the basket, threw it into the right corner, and Humphrey hit his first 3 of the day.
And Billy Humphrey was just 1 for his last 12. They didn't guard him, and he made Tulane pay.
Lobs it high right wing to Vianney. Into the corner to Puckett. He'll run it out of trouble. Vianney penetration, bounce it to Sims, off balance 3, good over Woodbury. Sims, 1 point, Georgia to left, they work. Hooks it to Jackson, high post. He pivots, flares the elbows, faces the basket, now goes to Humphrey. 18 to shoot for Georgia. Humphrey has it, picks up the dribble left side, and nearly threw it away. Woodbury catches it on the far side of the floor. Wood feeds the post, Jackson into the paint. Jumper with the left hand, won't go. Price with the follow and the putback, yes
That's
sir.
How the big boys do it. Great board on the strong side by Jeremy Price. He had to wiggle around. Gomez, who's a very good shot blocker, was coming for it. And Jeremy Price using the window to bank it in.
Jeremy's got to tie his pants up a little bit tighter every time he shoots. His shorts slide down. Here's Gomez working underneath, misses the first one, gets the rebound, puts it back up and in. He works hard on the inside. Gomez with 15. It's still a 1 point Georgia lead.
In there, and always anxious getting those minutes.
It was a nice feed from Price, but
Great
Jackson
pass.
just couldn't hang on. But fortunately, the Dogs have it. Inbounds play. Humphrey, 3 off a screen, right corner, good.
That was a fine screen set there by Jeremy Price out high.
Billy Humphrey, a second 3. Maybe he's getting going now. And it's a 4 point lead again for Georgia, 47-43. The Dogs haven't given up the lead here in the half. 11:45 and the clock ticking to go in the ball game. The winner to play St. John's in the Consolation Championship. Tulane with a 3 straight away. That was Eric Vianney. Knocks it down from about 20 feet.
They just keep answering back. Georgia has been in front the entire second half. The lead hasn't gotten bigger than 5.
Gaines with a penetrate, kick out to Humphrey, drives across from the left side, in the paint, hangs, scores, and gets fouled.
And Billy Humphrey indeed heating up. penetration from Sundiata Gaines, and when we return from timeout, he'll have a chance for a three-point play the old-fashioned way.
Second half, and Georgia leads it 50-46.
2 threes at an old-fashioned as Georgia pushes the lead back to 4.
Stith, right baseline, out from the lane, being pushed by Jackson, now trying to dribble into the lane. Little jump hook with the left hand. Nice move by Stith, up and in good.
Stith now with 3. Georgia getting a blow here for Jeremy Price. Dave Bliss in along with Albert Jackson on the post. Trade when you've got the lead, that's fine.
Clock at 10:32 and ticking. Here's VNI working against Humphrey now. Crossover dribble, attacks, kicks it out to Gomez. Baseline jumper, air ball from the right side. Rebounded by Luismi. Tip in by, was that Gomez that tipped it up and in? I think it was.
Yeah, Gomez got the tip there. They do a great job crashing the glass. He's a really good player. Gomez has got 17 points and 5 boards now.
52-50. Dogs with the lead. Here comes
Terrence Woodbury, and Georgia going to get Corey Butler in. Haven't seen Butler or Brewer or Zach Swansea in the second half.
Puckett swings the ball away from Woodbury to Gomez. Wide open underneath Luismi. He lost his defender and scored, and Tulane has its first lead since midway through the first half.
Well, the triple team, you're going to have 2 people open, and there was nobody even close to Luismi, and you can't leave the basket that unprotected. 6 in a row for the Green Wave.
Double team back out front. D&I now goes against Price. Slashes through the lane, feeds Gomez. A steal by Gaines. Gaines turns and runs one-on-one with Sims. He'll let him go. The lay-in, oh, it fell off the front rim. Rebounded by VNI, and then a foul by Sundiata, and he can't believe he missed it.
I can't believe that did not go down. I mean, he hits 99 out of 100 of those. Sundiata with his first at his team foul number 6. It's tied as we hit the stretch drive.
Dogs miss an opportunity there. We're tied at 54 with 7:48 to go in the game. Timeout. Back in a moment. Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Holds it high over his head. Now dribbles with a left hand. Guarded by Sundiata Gaines. Dogs are in a man-to-man defensively. Here's VNI. Humphreys on him. Skip it to Luismi, and he scores after he missed the first one, got the board, and then put it back up and in.
He's 4 out of 5, shoots 70% on the season, so he's right on pace, even a little better.
And he gives the Green Wave a 2-point lead, 56-54. No good. Rebound. Jackson had position. Puckett knocked it away, but knocked it to Corey Butler for Georgia. Butler stops, gives it to Jackson, back to Butler. And they put the ball in Sundiata Gaines' hands. 6:05 and the clock ticking, and we're tied at 56. Here's Gaines. Dribble penetration, scoop with the left hand with the bounce off the rim, up and in, good.
A great move there by Sundiata Gaines, and he's got that spin. It hung on the back iron and was able to go down, and the Dogs lead it by 2.
58-56 Georgia with 5:45 and the clock ticking. Stith holds it high on the left side, going to dribble. Strides through the lane, the runner with the right hand around the rim and good. Stith, man, he had a nice first move and long strides to the basket, ties it at 58. Bubble, tighten him up with the defense, give it to Humphrey, open 3, off the mark, no good. Rebounded by Puckett underneath for Tulane. They'll turn and run it up the other way from left to right. Here's VNI into the right corner, fires head of the key. Stith, open 3, good, all net. Jackson didn't get over to defend, and Stith hits the 3, his first of the ball game, and that gives Tulane a 61-58 lead.
And they have a foul here on Daniel Puckett.
Side of the lane, and the Dogs get the rebound on his miss. Butler holds right now for Georgia, right wing. Looks to Bliss at the right elbow, who pivots, goes back to Humphrey. Humphrey dribbles, moves side to side towards the right side of the floor. 4:20 to go in the ball game. Feed Price in the post, the turn, and the kiss! And the bank shot good by Jeremy Price, who has a season-best 21 points.
Well, he's really got a good knack of where to put the ball up on the backboard. He's got a good bank shot. 21 points for Jeremy Price, and Georgia in front by 1.
Gomez wide open in the lane, and an easy dunk to give Tulane a 1-point lead, 63-62. Caught Georgia in a defensive lapse that time.
Caught the Dogs in a switch and a screen. Jeremy Price got picked off there. Gomez has got 19.
63-62. Humphrey left corner 3. Sweet. He strips the nets from the left corner. Billy Humphrey with his third 3 of the game. And he's got 14 points and 12 of them in the second half.
Wide open looks because of the attention that Jeremy Price is drawing. The penetration from Sundiata Gaines. And that's one Billy's going to hit most of the time.
Backing down Sims, gets a screen from Jackson. Gaines to the basket, hangs in the air. The banker won't go. Got the rebound. His putback won't go. Jackson with the rebound. Hangs on the rim. The rebound tipped out. They race for it. V&I beat Butler to it. Now goes to the basket on the other end. Feeds Gomez behind him, who turns and will bank it in against the Georgia double team.
Well, Sunday out of Gaines couldn't get his follow to go down, and then Albert once again just a little too soft. He shot that putback instead of attacking the rim.
Dogs lead by 1 as Gomez now with 21 points in the contest. Under 90 seconds to go in the game, and Georgia leads at 66-65. The winner gets St. John's tomorrow at 6:30 in the Consolation Championship game is what they call it here in the Rainbow Classic. Humphrey backs it out with 10 on the shot clock. 7 on the shot clock now. Humphrey near mid-court gets a screen from Jackson. Humphrey, the side dish to Price. He turns and shoots. Banks it off the front rim. No good as the clock was hitting 1 on the shot clock. And Tulane has the ball with less than a minute to go and down by 1.
That's a critical possession for Georgia, and that is not at all the shot that the Bulldogs wanted as Tulane calls time. I mean, Georgia just unable to get any kind of look. You had Billy Humphrey retreating with 7 on the shot clock, and Jeremy Price from the left wing has to hurry one up from 18 feet. But we'll look back with the Dogs up 3. Sunday out of Gaines got caught up in the air but followed his own miss. He had a good look. It wouldn't go down. Then Jackson had a good look, and it wouldn't go down. Tulane comes right back to cut it down to 1, and then Georgia does eat up some clock but unable to get a good look at it.
66-65. Georgia with a 1-point lead. Again, the winner gets St. John's tomorrow at 6:30 airtime. And the loser will play Hawaii in a 4 o'clock tip-off. I should say a 6:30 tip-off for the St. John's contest. And the game against Hawaii will be at 4 o'clock. If Georgia should lose, that's where they'll be. If they win, they'll be at the 6:30 start time. Right now they have a 1-point lead. They've led for most of the half. The official puts the ball down. Tulane has to break out of the huddle in a hurry as the 5 count had started. Clock at 48 seconds to go. Georgia by 1, 66-65. Sims with the ball, goes to V&I high on the right side. Across to Sims, fakes the 3. Gomez in the circle, steps above the 3. Now for a long 2, no good. Back iron, the rebound. Louisme lost it out of bounds. It'll be Georgia basketball with 34.9 to go.
They're probably going to foul right away. Georgia's going to call a timeout right here. And the Bulldogs are in the double bonus, so that's a big edge. Now, remember, Georgia in this situation cannot run the baseline here. Dogs have got a couple of timeouts left, both teams with 2 timeouts, and Georgia has the arrow. If you're thinking about fouls here, again, the Dogs in the double bonus. Georgia's been whistled for 7 fouls, so that means 2 more if it's not a shooting situation, or it would be a 1-and-1 for Tulane. I think right here, though, for Georgia, obviously Tulane, they're going to pressure Georgia. And if they can't get a turnover 4 or 5 seconds into the possession, they're going to probably go ahead and foul. If they do let the Dogs get in any kind of a half-court set, Dogs have got to get the ball back to Jeremy Price on the blocks. I know Tulane has done some things defensively to try and take him away, but he just has not gotten enough touches down the stretch.
It's a situation where you want the ball in the hands of a good free throw shooter. Well, I guess you'd want it in the hands of Billy Humphrey. Yeah. He's the best on the floor right now for Georgia.
Yeah, no doubt, because Gaines is really struggling, either Humphrey or Dave Bliss.
Gaines will inbound the ball. Full court pressure by Tulane. Throw it into Corey Butler. They wrap him up. V&I. Clock ticks to 33.8. So just a few fractions of a second tick away. And it'll be Corey Butler coming down to shoot free throws and in the double bonus. So automatic 2 for Corey Butler, who is also a good free throw shooter. He's made his 2 shots today. He's 2 for 2 from the line, and he is now 7 for 8 for the season and 18 of 20 for his career at Georgia. Dogs by 1. Butler at the free throw line. The shot is good.
He can handle the situation. He's a great kid, very smart, makes terrific grades.
67-65, Georgia by 2. This to give the Bulldogs a 3-point lead with 33.8 seconds to go. The free throw is up and in good. It touched some rim that time, but went in for Corey Butler. He's got 4, and the Dogs by 3, 68-65, and the clock under 30 seconds now. Sims for Tulane, drives one way and then the other, give it back to Gomez. Gomez, left side of the floor, high lob to Louisme, and Butler went for the steal. Louisme with the catch and the lay-in to make it a 1-point lead again, and a quick timeout Tulane with 20.2 seconds to go.
Real quick, Basketball, you get 8 free timeouts. You get 4 in each half with the media. I think there are too many timeouts. I think 3 total, and both teams get 2. You can only carry 2 over the second half. This has been a terrific game here, great flow. And now all of a sudden, especially when you got fouls, you got timeouts being called left and right, it just slows the game down too much. Just as a basketball fan, I think these guys get way too many timeouts, and it probably leads coaches to overcoaching by calling too many timeouts and not wanting to leave as much to chance instead of just letting the guys go out there and play.
Yeah, with the media timeouts, they could probably reduce it to like 3.
Yeah, and carry
for the
2
whole game,
over. Yeah, I mean, you get 8 freebies for the whole game. New Orleans Bowl, AJC scoreboard, Florida Atlantic, and Memphis 7-7 in the first quarter.
Georgia to inbound the ball. Tulane to match up for a full court press with 20 seconds to go. Gaines moves on the baseline, looking, throws it into Bliss, and they foul Bliss, but no call. Now they have to hack him again. Stiff made body contact. They didn't blow the whistle. Then he had to get the hands in there and start whapping at the ball, and they finally called the foul. 19.5 seconds showing on the clock. Georgia with a 1-point lead, and Dave Bliss, the senior, going to the free throw line, where he is 6 of 8 today.
Bliss has hit 20 of his last 24, dating back 7 games.
Free throw is up and in good. 7 out of 9 for Big Bliss to give Georgia a 2-point lead. Dogs trying to hang on and advance to the consolation championship game to play St. John's tomorrow night at 6:30.
And Bliss's only field goal was a big one at the end of the first half to put Georgia up 2.
Bliss, the left-hander, won't go this time. The rebound kicks into the far corner. 18 seconds, a 2-point lead for Georgia. Tulane with the ball across the timeline, and Sims asks for a timeout. And is that the last one for Tulane? I think it is.
Now, Georgia has 2 remaining. The arrow is with the Bulldogs. Double bonus for Georgia. Tulane just in the 1-1, and the Green Wave indeed out of timeouts here. And you got to think Tulane's going to look to David Gomez first. Now, we saw him step out in the first half and hit a 3, but he's one of those guys who can score really from 17 feet in, but he is very, very good around the blocks. He's got some power. 36 points in the paint for Tulane. Green Wave shooting 55%, and no big surprise. We talked about it before the game. Louisme coming into the game shooting 70%. He's at 72% here today, 5 out of 7 from the field. So watch for the 2 big guys. And don't forget about Kevin Sims, the point guard. He's played well with 15 points for Tulane.
Gomez, who had 10 rebounds in the loss to St. Mary's yesterday, only had 8 points. He's bounced back with 21 today in a 10-for-16 shooting contest, and is just 1 off his season high for Tulane. So the Green Wave have had a lot of success inside. As Jeff said, 36 points in the paint for Tulane today. That's more than half of their offense as they trail by 2. They've got the ball, 15.1 seconds showing on the clock, and Georgia leading 69-67 in the first meeting between these 2 teams in 41 years.
And Georgia with 18 points in the paint. Dave Bliss has got 2 of those, and the rest has come from Jeremy Price as the Dogs will take the floor. Corey Butler again giving the Dogs a big lift. Butler, Humphrey, Bliss, Gaines, and Jeremy Price. Louisme, V&I, Gomez, Sims, and Wheaton, the Tulane 5.
Tulane fires it in. Wheaton gives it into Sims, and the clock's at 12 already. They set a screen. Sims drives around Price. Jump past top of the key. There's Gomez for a 3. Good! 6.5 seconds left. Tulane by 1, 70-69. Here's Humphrey with the clock at 4. Humphrey with 3. Humphrey spins. He shoots. It is no good at the horn, and Tulane has won 70-69.
Now just a dagger for Georgia. And Tulane does indeed go to Gomez, who steps out and hits his second 3 of the game. And the Bulldogs choose not to call the timeout there, which I think that's a good play in that spot with 6 seconds because there's so much chaos on the floor. And you know the guys for Tulane, they're excited. And Billy Humphrey got the ball down the floor in a relatively good amount of time, but Tulane was able to recover, got a decent look at it, but not a great look at it. And this is one that's going to sting for a while as the Green Wave win it 70-69 in a game that Georgia led for a lot more minutes than it trailed.
Indeed.
And again, some big missed free throws down the stretch, too. Come back to bite the Dogs. Bliss missed 1, Price missed 1, and Gaines missed 2 with under 3 minutes to go.
Dogs lose by 1, 70-69 to Tulane. They'll be matched up with Hawaii, of all teams, in the last place game tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll be on the air with you at 3:30 for the pregame show tomorrow afternoon. 70-69, the final. Tulane defeats Georgia. We'll be back right after this on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Scott Howard, Jeff Dantzler, producer-engineer Michael Williams back here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and a bitter pill for Georgia to swallow as the Bulldogs fall to Tulane on a almost a last-second shot by David Gomez, who hit a three to finish with 24 points, and Tulane escapes with a 70-69 win over Georgia. Let's go to the AT&T call of the game now. The positive out of all this was certainly the play of Jeremy Price, the freshman from Decatur, Georgia, who had a season-best 22 points today. Here's 2 of his points in the AT&T call of the game. Butler holds right now for Georgia, right wing. Looks to Bliss at the right elbow, who pivots, goes back to Humphrey. Humphrey dribbles, moves side to side towards the right side of the floor. 4:20 to go in the ballgame. Feed Price in the post, the turn, and the kiss! And the bank shot good by Jeremy Price, who has a season-best 21 points.
Well, Jeremy Price, certainly a cornerstone-type player. Very, very highly touted signee for the Bulldogs, and he is playing awfully well. He has the potential to be an all-SEC-style player. Fantastic, and was very, very big tonight with 22 points. And Sunday out of Gaines, continuing to struggle shooting the ball some, but he's a very, very good point guard, of course, one of the best that Georgia's ever had. So I think right now, as you see Price continue to develop where the Dogs are right now after this tough loss, that's now 3 losses on the season. I don't think there's any question. Of course, it still starts with Gaines at the point, but after him, Price has to become the focal point of the offense, and when he was today, that opened up so many more things. Georgia winds up hitting 8 out of 18 three-pointers, which is a lot better than what the Dogs did yesterday when Georgia had a 1-for-14 stretch, and a lot of the credit for Georgia shooting the ball better today from beyond the arc goes to Price because he drew so much attention. Tulane had to constantly double-team him. That gave the Dogs some great looks from beyond the arc.
Georgia, unfortunately, left itself vulnerable late in the ball game. Dave Bliss, who had a nice game, hit 7 of 10 free throws. Good percentage for him. Finished with 9 points, but missed the back end of a double bonus free throw and left Georgia up by 2. And that's why when Gomez hit the three-pointer, they win the game instead of it possibly going to overtime. So Georgia missed some free throws down the stretch. They shoot 68%. I shouldn't say down the stretch because Butler hit his 2 late in the ball game, and then Bliss went 1 for 2 late in the ball game, and they hit 68%, which is not a great percentage. But they end up losing by 1.
No, there were 4 misses there in the last 3 minutes. I mean, Butler stepped up and hit his. He played very, very well again for Georgia. He goes 4 for 4 from the foul line in the second half. I think he's got to get some more minutes. I think Troy Brewer and Zach Swansea have got to get some more minutes. This is a big test. Again, another quick turnaround for Georgia tomorrow morning local time here. And why that's significant, here's Georgia going to be coming off essentially a second loss in one day, going to be an early wake-up call. And the Dogs going to try and avoid being the one team here to go 0-3, and isn't it something? Georgia and Hawaii just 6 years ago played for the championship here in the Rainbow Classic, and this season they'll be playing in the last place game.
That's right. Tomorrow morning, local time, back in the East, it'll be a 4 o'clock tip-off with a 3:30 airtime tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon basketball for Georgia and Hawaii in the 7th place game here in the 44th Rainbow Classic. Final score here today, Tulane beats Georgia. Game-winning shot by David Gomez with about 5 seconds left. He hit a game-winning 3 to finish with a season-best 24 points, and Tulane wins it by a final of 70-69. Georgia drops to 6-3 for the year, and Tulane improves to 7-4, and they've wiped out a couple of SEC teams now, beating Georgia and Auburn this season. We'll come back with our Ed Voiles Honda Player of the Game. We'll talk with Coach Dennis Felton. That's just down the line here on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Heartbreak for the Bulldogs. Tulane nips Georgia almost at the horn, 70-69. Dogs will play Hawaii in the 7th place, the last place game here in the Rainbow Classic tomorrow. 3:30 airtime, 4 o'clock for the tip-off for the Dogs and the Warriors. 70-69, the final. Tulane over Georgia. Stick around. We'll bring you the Ed Voiles Honda Player of the Game. And Coach Dennis Felton will join us in a moment here on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
You've been listening to University of Georgia Basketball on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. Your world delivered. Budweiser. Reach for a Budweiser. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Red Baron Pizza. Official pizza of the Georgia Bulldogs. Your local Chrysler dealers. Chrysler. Engineered beautifully. The Georgia Farm Bureau. Helping you is what we do best. Verizon Wireless, proud sponsor of the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. And by AirTran Airways. Go. There's nothing stopping you.
Dogs drop a heartbreaker 70-69 to Tulane. Let's post and second station identification on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Our Ed Voiles Honda Player of the Game. No mystery tonight for the Dogs. Jeremy Price in his first start. The freshman from Columbia High School, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 turnover. Magnificent effort. Jeremy Price, our Ed Voiles Honda Player of the Game. Tulane, a 70-69 winner. Bulldog coach Dennis Felton will be along shortly. First is timeout on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
Bulldogs stumbled day 2 of the Rainbow Classic here in Honolulu. 70-69, the final. Tulane a winner over Georgia. David Gomez hitting a game-winning 3 with a little less than 5 seconds to go to finish with 24 points. And the leading scorer in the ball game, 22 for Jeremy Price. He was the Dogs' high scorer. When we come back, we'll talk with Georgia head coach Dennis Felton on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Back at the Stan Sheriff Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, day 2 of the Rainbow Classic as Tulane edges Georgia 70-69. Bulldogs head coach Dennis Felton has joined us courtside. And Dennis, that's a tough one to swallow, certainly for you and the team, a 1-point loss. Can you take us through those final seconds as far as what Tulane did to get the go-ahead basket and then the final effort by the Bulldogs?
Well, first to talk about what we knew that we needed to do. We needed to absolutely not give them any 3, because that was the only thing that could beat us. We decided that we were going to switch all ball screens in order to not, even when it might lead to a mismatch, that we felt like we could handle that, and so that nobody gets loose to shoot threes. If they're going to score, it's going to be it's only going to be 2, so that we at the very worst we go into overtime. And we did talk about when they drive the ball, don't leave your man to get behind the 3. Let them drive the ball and make a tough shot against the guy who's guarding them. And in other words, so don't allow yourself to be frozen by a penetration and let your guy leak behind that line and shoot an open 3. They did set a ball screen. Predictably, we switched, and that went very well. Jeremy actually did a fantastic job of staying in front of their really quick point guard, Sims, and not letting him turn the corner. not letting him get any advantage on him. So Sims jumped up and looked like he was in a real pinch. You know, he didn't have he wasn't going to be able to shoot a regular shot over Jeremy. I don't know if Jeremy could have played it any better. And but whether it was by design by Tulane, I think there's a good chance it was, or it was just a desperation find by Sims. He found one of their post players, of all people, Gomez, clear across at the top of the key, and so we did what we, talked about we couldn't do, and that is don't let any dribble penetration, freeze you and let your man get open behind the three. Stay with your men so that they can't shoot a three. But Gomez got loose and he made a great shot.
He had a terrific ball game, finished with 24, and just didn't go Georgia's way this time. 70-69, the final. Tulane over the Bulldogs, and we'll come back and talk more with Coach Dennis Felton right after this on the Bulldogs Radio Network. We're back with Coach Dennis Felton. Tulane getting by Georgia 70-69 here in round 2 of the Rainbow Classic. The Bulldogs will play Hawaii tomorrow, and that locally or back in the East, it'll be a 3:30 airtime for the pregame show and a 4 o'clock tip-off, their East Coast time, and Georgia and Hawaii tomorrow. St. John's will be matched up with Tulane, and then 2 more games tonight, St. Mary's and East Tennessee State, and then the last game this evening to determine who plays in the championship game, Ohio and Louisiana Lafayette. And Coach, you really got a nice game from Jeremy Price, certainly offensively with 22 points. That's a season best for him. Very solid around the bucket, 9 for 13. But then you look and see Tulane scored 36 points in the paint. So I guess defensively you give up a little bit with having to play freshmen in that situation.
Yeah, Jeremy being a freshman, he made some mistakes defensively that led to some baskets. He certainly wasn't the only one, but when you're playing freshmen, that's bound to happen some. Especially when you consider the fact that we didn't have time to practice and prepare for this game that way, and they run a lot of sets that help their posts get the ball inside. But Jeremy did. He played well. I mean, not only did he score 22, but he got them very, very efficiently, 9 for 13, and think about it. There was a bucket or two that if he could have done it just a little differently, he might have shot almost 100% from the field. But so I'm real proud of him for his production. 4 offensive rebounds. They were big too.
And also, Coach, I thought Brewer and Swansea gave you some really good minutes in the first half. Corey Butler in the second. I would think those 3 guys are really pushing for a lot more playing time right now.
Well, we need them to. Corey, I'm really happy to see that he has kind of resurfaced as with his tenacity that he brings us, with his defensive tenacity and his toughness and his rebounding and those things. So Corey was a big help tonight. And then Troy is slowly but surely, I feel like he's getting more and more solid in the other aspects of the game other than just shooting the ball. We know that he can shoot it, and we really enjoy that aspect that he brings. But he was pretty solid, and Zach was pretty solid too.
70-69, the final. Tulane over Georgia, and the Bulldogs will be paired up with the home team, Hawaii. So will Coach probably have a few more folks in the seats tomorrow. It'll be a little bit louder and more of a festive college basketball type atmosphere than what we've had for some of these games. But
yeah, they support their basketball team here, and it'll be so there'll be more energy in the building. We look forward to that.
All right, we do too, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Coach Dennis Felton here as Tulane squeezes by Georgia 70-69, and the Dogs will play Hawaii tomorrow, 3:30 airtime, Eastern time, and a 4 o'clock tip-off there in back in Georgia. And we'll come back for more from the Stan Sheriff Center here in Honolulu right after this timeout of the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. Hey, Dog fans, Georgia basketball returns home on Sunday, December 30th against Presbyterian at 4 o'clock at Stegman Coliseum. Dog fans can download 2-for-1 admission coupons from GeorgiaDogs.com. So be there when the Dogs are back home hosting Presbyterian Sunday, December 30th at 4 p.m. in Stegman Coliseum. Final score here today, Tulane beats Georgia 70-69 as David Gomez hit a three-pointer with just a few seconds left to win it for Tulane. The Bulldogs failed in their attempt to hit a last-second shot. Billy Humphrey off the mark, and the Bulldogs fall by 1. They're now 6-3. They'll play Hawaii, a 3-6 team, tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time, a 3:30 time for the pregame show, and we'll wrap up our time here at the Rainbow Classic tomorrow against the Rainbow Warriors here in on their home court. So that should be a tall task for Georgia tomorrow because they'll be playing how far are we from home? 5,000 miles from home? Yeah. Go 5,000 miles for a road game, a true road game at that.
Yes, it will be, and both of those teams will desperately not want to be the team that comes here to go 0-3, and there's such a fine line. I mean, how many games a year do you have that come down to 1 or 2 possessions, and this was certainly one of them here, and unfortunately for the Dogs, it just didn't go Georgia's way, and as always, you can drive yourself nuts in a game like this, thinking about a play here, a play there, a free throw here, a free throw there, a missed assignment there, a ball that bounced out of bounds the wrong way, and the best way to get over that is just to come back out and win tomorrow, and hopefully the Dogs will be able to pull that one out. But this is a tough one today, going to be a tough one to get over.
Indeed. 70-69 the final score, and we'll come back and say so long right after this on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. So Georgia drops to 6-3 with the loss to Tulane. The Bulldogs came into Hawaii on a winning streak, but have now suffered through a 2-game skid after losing to East Tennessee State last night and then falling late in this one today to the Green Wave of Tulane. The first meeting between these two teams in 41 years. The Green Wave will move on to play in the Consolation Championship against St. John's tomorrow. Georgia's matched up with Hawaii. We'll be on the air with you at 3:30 for the pregame show and a 4 o'clock tip-off here at the Stan Sheriff Center on the campus of the University of Hawaii. The other matchups here in the Rainbow Classic, St. Mary's and East Tennessee State getting set in the next ball game, and then the late game tonight will be Ohio and Louisiana Lafayette. So leading the way for Georgia was Jeremy Price, the freshman, with 22 points today. He goes 9 for 13, 4 for 6 from the free throw line, and has 6 rebounds. He was Georgia's leading scorer. The only other Bulldog in double figures was Billy Humphrey, 5 for 13 today. He finished with 14 points, 12 of those coming in the second half. Sunday out of Gaines, 3 for 10 from the field with 8 points. He had 5 assists, only 1 turnover, and 2 steals to tie Georgia's all-time steals record, along with Patrick Hamilton in a Bulldog uniform. Tulane was led by David Gomez, who had 24 points, and he hit the game winner, a game-winning 3 with just a handful of seconds left in the contest to win it for Tulane, 70-69. The postgame show's been brought to you by Lowe's, Let's Build Something Together, and by Charter Communications. For our crew, Jeff Dantzler, producer-engineer Michael Williams, network studio producer Alan Hunt, Scott Howard saying so long from Honolulu on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
This has been a production of WSB Sports. You've been listening to University of Georgia Basketball on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.